I were working with a billion, I would probably find within a $30 trillion market in the United States where I understood things better just generally than I do around the world. I'd probably find opportunities there that would be better, incidentally, by some margin than what we can find for hundreds of billions. But I wouldn't, there's no way I'd rule out emerging markets. There was a time 15 years ago or so when, just because it was kind of interesting and it took me back to my youth, on a weekend I went through a directory of Korean stocks, and I bought, and these were small stocks. Well, they were small by the standards of either Korean or American business. They were big companies, but I found 15 or 20 that were statistically cheap, and bought some of each one myself. And there are opportunities with smaller amounts of money to do things that we just can't do. But my first inclination always would be to comb through things in the United States, but I'd comb through in other countries. I probably wouldn't get into very small markets, because there can be a lot of difficulties even in market execution and taxation, a lot of things. You can find, if you can't find it in America and China and Britain and a few other places, you probably aren't going to find it someplace else. So you may think you found it, but it may be a different game than you know. Our problem is size, not geography. Charlie?
Well, I already have more stocks in China than you do as a percentage, so I'm with the young lady.
Okay, well, you want to name names? Do these stocks have names? Or?
No, I don't.
The world knows generally how the looks of Berkshire Hathaway have changed since you began to run the company in 1965. Berkshire was then a tiny northeastern textile company, and now it is the number 4 company on the Fortune 500. What about the next 50 years? Could you give us your view of what Berkshire looks like in 2068?
I think it'll look a long way away. No, the answer is I don't know, and I didn't know 50 years ago what it would look like now. I mean, it will be based on certain principles, but where that leads, we will find out, and we'll have people that are thinking about different things than I am, and we'll have a world that's different. But we will be, I very much hope and believe, and we will be, that we'll be as shareholder oriented as any large company in the world. We will look at our shareholders as partners, and we will be trying to do with our money exactly what we would do with our own, not seeking to get an edge on them. And who knows what else will be happening then. Charlie?
Well, I want to talk to the younger shareholders in the group. Those of you who, after we are gone, sell your Berkshire stock and do something else with it, helped by your many friends, I think are going to do worse. So I would advise you to keep the faith.
Well,
by the way, some of that has already happened in many families.
I'll give his answer next time, now that I see it get all the applause.
Would you consider a one-time special dividend as a means for returning capital to shareholders?
Well, if we thought we couldn't use capital effectively, we would try to figure out the most effective way of returning capital to shareholders. And you could, I would have probably I think it'd be unlikely we'd do it by a special dividend, I think it'd be more likely we'd do by a repurchase if the repurchase didn't result in us paying a price above intrinsic value per share. We're never going to do anything that we think is harmful to continuing shareholders. So if we think the stock is intrinsically worth X, and we would have to pay some multiple, some modest multiple even above that to repurchase shares, we wouldn't do it because we would be hurting continuing shareholders to the benefit of the people who are getting out. But we will try and do whatever makes the most sense, but not with the idea that we have to do something every day because we simply can't find something that day. We had a vote, as you know, I don't know, a few years back on whether people wanted the dividend, and the B shares, so we're not talking my shares or Charlie's or anything, but the B shares voted 47-1 against it. So I think through self-selection of who becomes shareholders, I don't think shareholders world or countrywide on all stocks would vote 47-1 at all. But we get self-selection in terms of who joins us, and I think they expect us to do whatever we think makes the sense for all shareholders. And obviously, if we really thought we never could use the money effectively in the business, we should get it out one way or another. And you've got a bunch of directors who own very significant amounts of stock themselves, and you can expect them to think like owners. That's the reason they're on the board, and you can expect the management to think like owners, and owners will return money to all of the owners if they think it makes more sense than continuing to look for things to do. But we invested in the first quarter, maybe you have to look it up certainly through April, probably close to $15 billion or something like that net. So, and we won't always be in a world of very low interest rates, nor high private market prices. So we will do what makes the most sense. But I can't see us ever making a special, or it's very unlikely we would just pay out a big special dividend. I think that if we put that to the vote of the shareholders, and Charlie and I did not vote, I think we would get a big negative vote, and I'd be willing to make a bet on that one. Charlie?
Well, as long as the existing system continues to work as well as it has, why would we change it? We've got a whole lot of people that are accustomed to it, have done well under it, and